I'm Eva Stricker. I'm the director of the Carbon Ranch Initiative at Quivira Coalition. We are doing a Western SARE project with Polk's Folly farm, and the idea is to introduce organic material into rangelands. We're not going to try to put compost over the entire thing, but pick a spot that's not doing quite as well. You can kind of see that the grass over there is nicer than the grass right here, and then it gets nicer again. So trying to figure out what we can do about this spot and build up its productivity and its soil health. We've collected lots of baseline monitoring already, and now this is the exciting day of actually putting out compost. And so we're also testing different amounts of compost, because that's sort of an unknown for dry rangelands, is we don't actually know what's an efficient amount. Do we need a whole inch? That's what this plot is going to get. And then we have a 1/2 inch and a 1/4 inch. And so hopefully we'll get really nice outcomes at the 1/4 inch application rate, which would be less, which would mean people can more realistically get compost out and be ready for better soil health. Quivira Coalition that I work for is helping. Polk's Folly is the actual recipient of the grant. They put it in last year, and then we're helping administer it because we have that background. And then Sol is the other partner. So there's another whole set of these up at Polk's Folly over in San Antonito, not too far away. And they're the ones who actually produce the compost. They've got a swine operation, and so they've got a skid steer and pour in the excess fruits and veggies that they get from places like Costco or a food bank. So they take on the extra. Contractors will also bring them excess wood waste, so they don't have to pay to dispose of it. So it's really using waste and making something valuable, which we think is such a cool way to connect both urban, rural activities and also create a value added on an operation. So we're really excited to be working with them. They're amazing. They have the best tasting sausage I've ever had myself. Since this is an experiment, we have control plots where we don't add any compost. But importantly, because we raked out the compost all over these other ones, we had to rake the control plot so that we can decide whether any response we see is due to physical disturbance or due to compost. So these are really important for really understanding what's going on and some mechanism. You know, we're manipulating a couple of things because the compost has nutrients in it, and it also has microbial life that we're introducing. And so we already won't really know whether it's the microbial life or the nutrients that are doing most of the work on increasing productivity. But now we can rule out the disturbance part of it. And then the last thing we're working on is we have this anecdotal evidence that at one place where they did compost, the cows preferentially grazed the grasses in the compost plots. And so we're building these exclosures, and we'll have a plot in here. And so we can compare the grazed and ungrazed with compost. We'll also have plots outside, and then we can compare the ungrazed with the different levels of compost. But this is to rule out the conclusion that there's less productivity in compost if all you do is look at where the cows are preferentially grazing. This will be a 3-year project. So this is the first year, and then we'll monitor for 2 years after that to see, is it just an initial flush of productivity and then everything goes back to normal, or if there's long-term effects. We're expecting there to be long-term effects. Some trials in California, you see increased microbial activity sort of up to 6 years later so far. And that's even when the compost is visibly gone. So we're expecting to see some long-term impacts. And like we said, we're hoping that the lowest application of compost is going to be just as beneficial as putting more on, or at least that there'll be a plateau, and then a farmer or rancher can pick where they want based on the cost of the inputs and what their desired outcomes could be.